I think we speak about heartbreak and healing from heartbreak completely wrong because who is actually teaching us how to mourn the love that is lost when the person is still alive? I think we need to pair the conversation of heartbreak with grief. Now, the heartbreak to liberation pipeline is something that is transformational, something that is a life lesson, something that is a reflective period. And you get to meet yourself in a very raw, sobering, sometimes animalistic space that if you did not go through the love and the loss of love, you would never know that version of yourself or how you would experience. But I think a lot of times when we're speaking about the weight of heartbreak, because there's so many nuances that contribute to heartbreak, whether it was betrayal, whether it was financial betrayal, cheating, being bamboozled, being left, being abandoned, right? The laundry list can go on and on and on. And you are there with the weight of all of your emotions, and you still got to go to work tomorrow. And you still have to acknowledge that life goes on. And so within the first couple months or the year or years is this cycle of rage, confusion, numbness, and that cycle just continues. And one thing that I'm starting to realize as I am thinking about the dichotomy of heartbreak and also what this healing look like is that we need to use the same principles of trauma-informed care and also grief education to how we understand and heal from heartbreak. And I think this is why the quote is that I rather love and lose love to never love at all. I know I'm butchering that. But because heartbreak and love teach you that life still goes on until it doesn't. Because now you are met with a different understanding of grief if you are mourning the loss of someone. Where there is no liberation in death, it just ends. And so I think if we understand heartbreak through the same lens of rage, holding space for that, but also holding space for our grief, I think that would change the way that we talk about heartbreak. That would change the way in how we can be of support to those who are going through heartbreaks or relationship changes in their life. And what does it mean for us to be a village member when one of our villagers are heartbroken? And we all understand that life goes on. And I'm not necessarily saying stepping in and covering all their bills or listening to the story over and over and over for years on end. That's not what I'm saying. But understanding how we can support someone who is grieving the reality in which they thought. And this conversation can extend to a multitude of things. So many people are going through life changes. Let's use layoffs, for example. I remember when I was laid off, 7 months, one of my closest friends also died a tragic death. And so I was going through the grief of the professional understanding that I had and what it means to lose a very close friend. And so my grieving process was doubled, right? Because I was also just left with myself. And for 7 months, I did not have a dry eye. And I think about what was the support that I needed, and also how can I articulate the help or support that I need. And because I think a lot of times I speak in academic jargon on purpose, but I've been through the lived experiences of what it means to lose and what it means to love, and the intertwinedness of those, but the in-between of those as well. And so I think if we have a bit more grace for the trauma that we endure, if we have a bit more grace for us being heartbroken and not leaning into self-deprecating language, if we have a bit more grace for the grieving process, we understand the importance of the healing process, and we can look forward to what liberation looks like, what it smells like, what it feels like, and also understand that there is a sweeter love out there, that you don't have to understand the depth of your pain at the depth of you being able to receive love. The intensity of the grief is also a reminder of the intensity in which we love. And so if we are making space and holding space for that grief, we get to that space of liberation. We get to the space of articulation, hearing your voice in love, hearing your voice in grief. How does that create a new pathway for you as it relates to forming bonds, forming relationships, understanding your needs? Because again, you have experienced that raw, sobering, animalistic, earth-shattering, I guess I could say, experience. And so you are deserving of a soft landing space. You are deserving of a love that's sacred. You are deserving of a love that's easy. And so you don't have to put yourself back into situations that mirror heartbreak, because you hold space for that version of yourself. You hold grace for what you have gone through, what you came out of. And because of that, your experience with love is a space of remembrance, a space of honor, and a space of liberation on understanding that love only gets better. And you have to be the active participant to ensuring that you have the best love life, the best romantic life, the best friendships that you can possibly have in this lifetime, because you honor your experiences, you honor the memories, you honor the lessons learned, and because of that, you are dignified in love, so you won't go back to those relationships that don't serve you. You understand love by honoring your grief. You understand the depths in which you can feel when you experience grief, when you experience a loss. And so thinking about ways, how can we honor that version of ourselves as we are continuing the journey of love, partnership, kinship, friendship, family?